everybody, my name is Charlotte Desidoro and today we're going to be making spaghetti con le verdure, which is Italian for spaghetti with vegetables. The vegetables we're going to be using today are cherry tomatoes, eggplants, red capsicum, zucchini. We have, of course, spaghetti, fundamental part of this recipe. We have fresh basil, thyme, Parmesan cheese, which we're going to be using grated, garlic, and onion. So now we're going to start chopping. Let's start with the onion. And we can just slice it. No need to mince it, no need to chop it in cubes. Since the onion takes quite a bit to cook, we're going to start stir-frying the onion immediately by adding some olive oil. Of course, try to get the good stuff, extra virgin. Olive oil in the frying pan. Let's turn the heat up. Now, I would rather you put the onions in the frying pan with the oil cold. What I'm going to add now is also the garlic. So the oil will get the beautiful flavors from the onion and from the garlic. Continuing, I'm going to start chopping the eggplant. I'm going to make cubes. It's quite important to cut your vegetables all the same size so they cook at the same time. Now, interesting, the zucchini, as I said before, not to be confused with the cucumber. Believe me, I've seen it happen many times. We're going to use half a zucchini, but what we're going to do is we are going to cut it this way so that I'm going to cut basically around the core. And the core I'm not going to use, and I'm going to just use this part. You could substitute, for example, cherry tomatoes with tomato sauce, but then it becomes very tomatoey. And we don't really want to go there. So talking of the cherry tomatoes, here we go. Cherry tomatoes, very simply, you can just cut them in half or in quarters. I'm going to leave them in half. Finally, we're going to chop the capsicum. I'm going to use only half a capsicum. I've got enough ingredients for the portion I'm making. Okay, here we go. I'm going to add capsicum with the onions first, and then later I'm going to add the eggplants. Reason being is that capsicum and onion are very similar. They take quite a long time to cook, and they cook always very nicely together. Eggplants, I'm going to add them later on. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to increase the heat of the boiling water a little bit. The spaghetti will take about 7 to 8 minutes to cook. So when you're making a dish like this, what you can do is sort of time it so that the vegetables are just going to be ready by the time the pasta is just going to be ready, okay? A good pasta dish is when the sauce is stuck to the pasta, the noodle. One of the worst kind of pasta dishes you can have is when you order a dish and you have spaghetti on top and the sauce which is floating somehow in the bottom. That is a really awful pasta dish. You want your sauce to coat completely your pasta. Doesn't matter if it's a spaghetti, if it's a penne, if it's a fusilli, you know, the short ones. That's not the problem. So here we go. Mix, mix, mix. So in order to speed up this process, I'm going to put a lid on the vegetables. The lid will ensure that the steam will cook the eggplants a bit faster. Okay, so to our sauce, we are also going to be adding some herbs, as I said before, thyme and basil. Basil is quite delicate, so it's best to add it at the end. The thyme, however, we can add it now. I've minced a little bit my thyme. I'm going to add it to the frying pan. I would say the eggplants are looking pretty good. So at this point, I'll mix it all up. I'm going to add the cherry tomatoes now. Okay, so now it's about time to put the zucchini in. As you can see, the tomatoes are nice and soft. Zucchini go in. Stir them around a bit. It's about time to put our spaghetti in the boiling water. Italian pasta is cooked in salted water. And by salted water, I don't mean a pinch. Pinch is not going to cut it. I mean salted water, okay? And then once the salt has melted, you add your spaghetti. So if you look inside the frying pan, the vegetables are all beautifully soft. Everything looks as it should. At this point, I'm ready to add my basil leaves, okay? So the vegetables have cooked. They're nice and soft. I can add the basil. As you can see, I'm not chopping the basil in a chopping board, and that is because basil is very delicate. Chopping board and knife is a bit too aggressive for basil. So this is the best way to preserve its flavors, okay? As you can see, I am stirring my pasta. If I look at the pasta now and I just touch it, it still feels quite raw. So I know that my pasta isn't cooked yet, so I'm just gonna leave it in for a while longer. It needs a bit of salt. And I'm gonna put a bit more black pepper. Okay, mix it all up. Right, now we're just waiting for the pasta to be ready. So I'm happy with the consistency of the spaghetti, the cooking time. The center is still a bit raw, but it's fine for me because I'm gonna finish cooking it off in my frying pan. Carry your strainer to a sink and pour your pasta in a strainer in the sink. Of course, in this case, I'm just gonna do this. Actually, I'm gonna, the frying pan is actually on, if you notice. The oil is still frying, which is very important. You never wanna put your spaghetti in a cold frying pan, okay? Okay, here we go. Now, so at this point that my pasta is inside, I'm gonna raise the temperature a little bit. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix my pasta with my vegetables. And I'm gonna toss all this out. Because pasta was cooked in this water, it released starch. The starch and the fat will work together when I'm stirring, bind together all the ingredients, and the sauce will coat everything beautifully. The final ingredients to all this is, of course, Parmesan cheese. So, grater, cheese. You can grate some directly on. You're always free to add more cheese to your plate afterwards, okay? This is just to help out make the sauce of the pasta. I put the garlic in wholes, and what I really would not want to do is have my friends, myself, or my guests eat this whole chunk of garlic. So basically, I'm gonna remove this garlic. I'm gonna toss this one more time, delicately, and then I'm gonna make a portion. If you want, you can finish it off with a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. And now the spaghetti con verdure or spaghetti with Mediterranean vegetables are ready.